Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we will discuss books, both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats, will make you wish they were your cats, and I will drink enough coffee for me and everybody watching. My mug today you've seen before. It's from our last anniversary trip that my wife and I did. The shirt is a Sublime shirt. If you do not listen to Sublime, then I'd very much appreciate it if you lied to me and tell me that you do. I am here today with my January wrap-up. January was a bit of a whirlwind for me. Although at the same time I kind of think of it, you know, as, oh man, Christmas was only a month ago. But I was just so slammed at work. We've got so much going on. I'm kind of going out of my mind trying to keep up with everything, honestly, between work and just stuff with the new house. Still trying to focus on my own writing, get something going there, because this is a year that I really want to be able to make the transition into writing full-time. And, well, to make that happen, something is going to have to change. I don't know what, but something. So, but that's all personal stuff. Aside from that, January was an incredibly great month of reading for me. Volume of books, I read 16 and had 1 DNF. But it was more the caliber of the books that I was reading. Somehow I feel like I got a lucky mix, and it was overwhelmingly 4- and 5-star reviews for this month. So really great reading month. I'm excited to come back on here and do some reviews of quite a few of these books, actually, and that's one thing that I haven't really focused on as much as I want to on this channel, is just doing good, simple book reviews. And I mean, I can come on here, anyone can come on here and show you 20 books and say, you know, I want to read this, I want to read this, I want to read this. It does you absolutely no good if you don't then hear something about the book, you know, later on. So I really need to get better about reviews, and I want to do reviews. I feel like I ramble, I feel like I am very repetitive, and I don't know how people are going to take the reviews. So, but you're going to see more of those regardless, mostly because this particular wrap-up, there's so many that I realized I want to talk about with you guys. So, anyway, all that aside, let's get into the actual books. I'm going to start with the DNF. And it really disappointed me, because I was looking forward to this book. I've been looking forward to it since I picked it up. That is this massive guy here, Rumpelstiltskin versus Miller. And I thought this was going to be really cool. This is supposed to be the child custody battle between Rumpelstiltskin and the princess over the child that she promised him if he turned the straw into gold in the original story. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I mean, the book is over 800 pages. I read the first 100 pages and I gave up. It was just so dry and boring. I don't know, maybe it picks up, but you know, I had a lot of other books that I was looking forward to, and I had to come to the point where I was like, okay, do I really want to spend another 700 pages just to see if things get better? And it wasn't worth it for me. So anyone out there who was interested in it, let me know and I'll gladly send it to you, because otherwise it's going to my local Goodwill or used bookstore or something. But let me know if you're interested. Maybe it'll work for you in a way that it didn't for me. I don't know. Now on to the books that I actually did read and finish. The first being one that I know and love, Hearts in Atlantis by Stephen King. I talked about this, how this is a book that I always remembered in my head, this one particular scenario, and then I started reading it, and the first 200 pages have nothing to do with that. Then you get to the middle of the book. That was the part I remembered, and I didn't remember anything about the last 200 pages either. So I don't know how that happened in my head, that the entirety of Hearts in Atlantis became that one middle section. There are 1,000 reviews online, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot here, but great Vietnam era book, great book by Stephen King in general. Definitely shies away from the supernatural elements that you typically see in his books, except for that first portion, that first section, if you will, absolutely does not. But after that, things become much more a realistic portrayal of that period of American history. All right, now we're going to briefly talk about Michelle Baker's Phantom Pain. This is the second book, the follow-up to Borderline, which you folks should have seen in one of my best of 2021 videos. Phantom Pain takes off right where the first one left off, so of course I'm not going to get into many details about the book itself, because some of you were interested in reading that book and I don't want to spoil anything. I'll simply say that Phantom Pain was still a very good book. I gave it 4 stars. It did not impress me quite as much as Borderline did. If you enjoyed the first one, you will enjoy the second one. There are some little minor details and plot points that get lost from the first book, seemingly overlooked maybe, but overall, again, it's all about the representation in this book. Now, I will say that on a couple occasions, this one, unlike the first, that representation did feel slightly forced. But again, all that aside, if you're looking for a somewhat unique urban fantasy read, then this is definitely a good series for you. I will be continuing and reading the third that the ever wonderful Cassie sent me. I will be reading that very soon. And 4 stars for this one, 5 stars for Borderline. So far, definitely a series that I'm going to suggest people pick up. Now you can see we went 5 stars, 4 stars. Now we're down to 3 stars with Eric Frank Russell's Somewhere a Voice. Obviously, this is a slightly older collection. Came out in '65. 7 stories. I'm just gonna put it in that 3-star category because it was one of those collections where there were a couple standout stories, a couple stories that fell flat, and even it all out, you get 3 stars. If you're into old science fiction, then, you know, maybe give this one a read if you happen to find it for a couple bucks. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it just was. Now, this next one I think most of you should be familiar with because it came from this community, and that is the collection Served Cold, edited by 2 of our own, and all the stories written by our own. Served Cold just came out recently. It is, of course, a collection of stories from various booktubers, all revolving around the winter season. The whole thing came from this community, and that's what makes it so incredible. It was edited by Miss Regina St. Clair and by Steve Donahue. All the stories came from booktubers. The cover art came from Cameron Rubik, who is pretty well known at this point in the horror genre, not just for his own work, but for his really cool stylized covers that he does for people. So very cool for him to jump in and once again offer his art to the booktube community. Overall, really awesome collection. It was just so cool to read stories from the people that that I come on here and chat with, and you know, watch their videos and that. And The editing is not always the best. There are errors that could be picked out here and there, but overall, the caliber of stories really surprised me, and I think that goes to show you that people who love books, who love reading, while they do not always make great writers, they do even subconsciously pick up on what makes a good story. And this is a really great collection to show that. Do yourselves a favor, guys. Pick up Served Cold, support the BookTube community. All of the money goes to charity anyway. 4 stars for that one. Editing could have used a little tightening up, but overall, great collection. Alright, the next book I have talked about previously, that is The Bottoms by Joe R. Lansdale. Now, this book is hard to talk about without getting into the topic of racial segregation. Well, because this book occurs at a time in United States history where segregation was in full swing. Those of color lived in completely separate shanty towns, if you will, and especially here, this takes place in a small town where there is this legend of the local goat man that lives in the woods and will drag victims off. And really you start to realize that maybe that legend is just a legend that is put in place so that they do not have to investigate or do anything about it when a person of color goes missing or is murdered. And this young boy, he discovers the body of a murder victim down there. Him and his friends, of course, immediately think it's the goat man. And in fact, they see something they believe is the goat man down there. And it starts this whole adventure for them. Joe R. Lansdale is such a great author in that he writes such realistic character portrayals. Everything here feels authentic. It feels like you've gone back in time to that time period. The reactions of characters are so true and accurate, and a lot of times that's very heartbreaking. And the things that happen in his book, in any of his books really, there's like I said, there's just such an element of realism. And I'll tell you now, if you're looking for a happy ending, The Bottoms is not a book for you, because Joe does not just write happy endings. Joe writes realistic endings. So a lot of times you'll get something like, oh yeah, the book ended, everything was okay, but now I'm telling this story from 20 years down the line, and everybody I knew is dead, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and yeah, basically the rest of my life sucked. So not a happy ending. Realistic, absolutely. And this, though, more needs to be thinking of as a sort of horror mystery, if you will. A little bit of crime investigation, but definitely as a character study of life in a small town during segregation. So, if that sounds interesting to you, then this may be a book for you. I gave it 5 stars. I will absolutely be picking up it again in the future, and I will definitely suggest it to others out there. The next book I will not suggest to anyone. That is The Awakening by John Russo. And I'm not going to talk about it here because I'm going to be doing a separate review video just to explain to you how terrible this book is. So, moving on, I'll get to a slightly better book, The Mall by Bryant de la Fosse. Now, this got 3 stars for me. This is about a high-tech mall that basically runs itself through computer programs and AI robots, and of course things go AWire. Now, some of you may immediately think of the old film Chopping Mall. That movie was much more campy and ridiculous and fun, whereas The Mall tries to take itself a little more seriously. You know, it could have been a much better book than it was, but the author just, he really plods along and takes way too much time. It's very overwritten in this case. I think that you could easily take out 100, 150 pages and make it a much tighter, cleaner, more interesting read. As it stands, though, it's 3 stars. It's one of those books that you'll probably enjoy, but you may find yourself, skipping or skimming pages just to see what's going to happen next. All right, next book is yet another collection by Miss R. St. Clair. That is Local Haunts. Again, with a beautiful cover by Cameron Rubik. Now, this was the original BookTube HorrorTube anthology that they put out the previous year. I'm going to say basically the same thing that I said about Served Cold. Really excellent collection, a lot of surprises, and again, editing needed some work. I think Served Cold, the editing got a little tighter, got a little better. This one, it's a little looser in areas, but overall just really cool to see you guys displaying the writing talents that you have hidden, because some of these are really great, and you would think that that they came from authors that have been doing it for a long time. What's cool about Local Haunts is each of these stories takes place just that they revolve around a particular urban legend or idea from different areas of the world where that particular horror tuber or booktuber lives. Buy it to support the community, buy it to support charity, because all the money goes to charity again, and buy it because there's some really great stories in here. So Local Haunts, 4 stars. And I really hope that that Regina St. Clair continues doing this, because she's doing some really cool stuff here, and I hope that we can all continue to support her and the others in this community. The next one should come as absolutely no surprise. 5 stars, any day. Stories from the Twilight Zone by Rod Serling. This particular collection has some of the classic stories that we all know and love from the Twilight Zone. I'm not going to go into crazy detail or anything, but all I'll say is if you can find this collection, pick it up, read it, love it, cherish it. Every story is great. If you're a fan of Twilight Zone, you need to have these on your bookshelf somewhere. All right, this is another book that I plan on doing a review of, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it here, but this is Pen Pal by Dathan, because I can't say his last name. So this turned out to be a 5-star read for me. Most of you guys have read this. Most of you guys have opinions on it. I'm going to share my opinion coming up very soon, so be looking for that video. In the meantime, if you haven't read this book, read it. It's one of those somewhat polarizing books, but overall, most people really enjoy this book, and I was definitely one of them. And for those of you that have not read it, or for those of you that are waiting to read it, in an upcoming video, I'll tell you why you need to go on and get yourself a copy. Now, the next book may have done the impossible. It may have beaten out Panzer Spirit as the most atrocious book that I've ever read. So I will absolutely be doing a review on this as well, and that is When Spirits Walk by Christine Gentry. You'll see this coming up, guys, but I need to steel myself against it, and I need to prepare before I can talk about this book. Instead, I will talk about this book, Caution, Inflammable. This is a collection by Thomas Scorsia. Now, this was an interesting one. This came out of that ludicrously large book haul that I did last year. And it has an introduction by Theodore Sturgeon, who is fairly well known to those who read this kind of work. And he talks about what an incredible author Thomas Scorsia is, and how he is just a boon to the science fiction and speculative community, and how everyone knows and loves Thomas. And I'm just thinking, okay, I've been reading science fiction for a long time, and I don't know who this guy is, so I don't know where this, this incredible review from Mr. Sturgeon's coming from, but we'll see how things go. And it was freaking awesome. You jump from a story of a man coming home from the war, getting into an argument with his girlfriend, and then getting arrested for soliciting sex from another man in the bathroom, to a story of a reporter interviewing a phoenix who has decided to nest on top of a city skyscraper. It's such an interesting mix of stories, and I was so freaking impressed. Every story in here was just so intriguing that I had to know what was going to happen next. I had to know what the twist was, what the big reveal was going to be. And although some of them were very obvious, Mr. Scorcher did it in such a way that the reading was just so compelling. And I didn't expect it. This came out of left field and surprised the heck out of me. So I will definitely be looking for other work by this man. If any of you have read his work and can suggest something great from him, then please do so. If you happen to find this book out there somewhere, do yourselves a favor and pick up a copy of it. Great book, and it needs to be read by other people, because I don't think many people have ever read this book. I don't think many people have heard of this guy, and it's a shame, because he should have been popular if this is the caliber of writing that he was putting out. Alright, on to the next creepover book. This is Best Friends Forever. This ended up being 4 stars for me. This is about, for once, it's not about a girl who moves to a new town. It is about a girl whose best friend moves to a new town, and then she makes friends with another girl that moves into her town. So, yeah, doing big things there. But with this one, PJ Knight took something that many people are afraid of, creepy dolls, and she actually, okay, so this is 4 stars for me. It was not the best of the creepover books, but it was still a fun one. In this case, the twists are super obvious. It was still a great read. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to talk a whole lot more about it. I think you can pretty much figure out what's going to happen with this book. You know what you're in for within the first few pages. But overall, still a good addition to the creepover series, and I look forward to picking up the next one. Alright, now I also read Vespers from Jeff Rovin. This ended up being 4 stars for me. Again, I'm not going to spend a massive amount of time on this because I might be talking about it in another video. This was actually sent to me to review along with The Awakening. I'll just say, if you like giant monster or giant animal horror books and movies, then Vespers is probably a good one for you. In this case, we're looking at, of course, bats. It is not in any way a vampire novel. That's not the way this goes. It is just good, clean, classic giant monster bats, along with regular bats, but in the millions, attacking a town. So, 4 stars. I'll be talking about that one in an upcoming video. And again, another one that I really want to review and want to talk about on here. This is another book that just blew me away. I didn't expect to like it nearly as much as I did, but holy crap, it was awesome. Cobweb Ride by Vera Nazarian. And I apologize if I said that wrong, but yeah, I'm going to be talking about this one soon. I'm not going to spoil anything here, not even going to talk about the premise or anything. I'm just going to say this was 5 stars, and I think it's going to end up on my best of the year for this coming year. And then the final book that I read in the month of January was Bentley Little's The Town. I have not read any Bentley Little in a while, and I was excited to get to this one. So I just went on and jumped in, decided what the heck, let's read it. This is one of the few that I have not read from him. And it's one of the few where I feel like Bentley Little actually does a pretty good job of wrapping things up. He kind of has this thing about him that he comes up with these really interesting satirical premises. Has some really cool horrific moments, here and there through the book, and then just completely takes a nosedive in his endings. But this was, I feel like, one of his stronger endings. There was a character that died and that went through some things towards the very end there that I felt was just completely unnecessary. So it kind of lost some points with me there. He actually maintains a pretty decent mystery on what's going on all the way through the book. And overall, while the ending is not completely satisfying, I do like the way that he ended it. I think that he took an interesting approach and used a creature that most people are not going to be familiar with. So he gets points on creativity and originality there. 4 stars for me. I think it was one of his better outings, actually. So if you're looking at getting into some Bentley Little, then maybe give The Town a try. And that, at last, is my January wrap-up. It was a long one. Like I said, 16 books in total, and a lot of 4 and 5 star reviews. So that was really cool. Great month for me. Had no idea that it was going to go that well. But there were a couple books in here that are going to be in contention for some of my best of the year, which is just kind of mind-blowing, because we've just started the year and I'm already thinking about, what will probably be the very last video that I make in the year of 2022. So I know I didn't talk a lot about some of these books, but it's because I have so many reviews that I'm hoping to bring out. Like I said, I really want to focus on that in this coming year. This is a book channel, so you need to see some reviews, and even though those videos don't seem to do as well, that's kind of the whole purpose of this channel, is to be able to talk books with you guys. So my next video should be my February TBR, and then I'm going to jump in and start giving you guys reviews, kind of in rapid fire, rather than every couple of days. Maybe do one every day, or every other day, something to that effect. So that'll do it. Let me know what you think of all these thoughts and random wanderings that are going on in this video. Hopefully you guys had a good January month as well. Again, as far as work and just life, I feel like I got hit hard. I feel like I haven't had a good night's sleep in a while, but reading wise, it was freaking fantastic. I finished writing a really cool story that I'm pretty excited to share with you guys, and started another one that's coming along really well. So hopefully I'll have that finished in the next week or so. I'm planning on doing another story narration coming up, and yeah, I've talked and rambled enough on this one. Guys, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. Wherever you are, just stay safe in the cold weather, or in the hot weather, I guess, if you're on the other side and listening to me for some reason. No matter where you are, though, drink lots of great coffee. Cheers.